This is officially the 654th edition, I believe, of the Short Time Wrestling Podcast. My name is Jason Bryant, joined by Josh Rhoden, the head wrestling coach at Clackamas Community College in wonderful Oregon City, Oregon, and Joe Renfro, the head coach of the Golden Norsemen of Northeastern Oklahoma A&M out of, let's see, Joe, if I'm saying this right, Miami, Oklahoma versus Miami, right?
That would be Miami. You are right. But I didn't hear you say beautiful Miami, like you were talking.
Well, beautiful because your Miami. School name is longer, and I said Golden Norsemen. So you've got the longest name, like one of the longest names in college sports, the Northeastern Oklahoma A&M Golden Norsemen. You know how hard that is to fit on a shirt for Wrestling Shirt a Day? That's why you got long sleeves, because it goes all the way up the sleeves.
We just abbreviate it, Jason.
NEO. So
we don't know how to spell Northeastern. We just abbreviate it.
That's NEO. Yes. So, directional junior colleges all over the place. So today we're talking junior college wrestling because for those of you that have been under a rock, it's been a weird season as it is, but the junior colleges at the NJCAA level, they moved their season completely, which is coming to a head at the National Championships April 21st and 22nd, the middle of the week, not on a weekend, at the Mid-America Center in Council Bluffs, Iowa, a facility. We've had the World Team trials there before. There's wrestlers outside in a big, statuesque type of thing next to the Famous Dave's. I believe the Famous Dave's is still there. I don't know. It's been a while since I've been to Council Bluffs, but we're talking more than just the championships today because this has been a weird season for everybody. And Josh, I'm going to start with you being out on the West Coast where a lot of your opponents in your scheduling typically work with, you've got Pacific and Division III out there. You got a lot of NAIA schools. You wrestle even Simon Fraser across the border into Canada. And when the beginning of your season, sometimes you'll hit some of those California community colleges. This has been like no other season for you. How have you guys dealt with scheduling? How have you guys dealt with just competition and practice?
Yeah, to be honest with you, scheduling's an easy one. We took our original schedule, we wadded it up, and we threw it in the garbage. And then we just winged it, really. I mean, we really did. We just were kind of faking it till we made it. And a lot of those schools, you mentioned Simon Fraser, they opted out of the year, as did San Francisco State and Menlo, who are teams that we typically would see at some of their opens. So, with respect to scheduling, man, it was dicey at best, which is why, I would hate to see a push for this time of year simply because there's literally 4 teams out west that you could compete against if you're in the junior college division in April, because everyone else is, winding down in beginning of February to March. And so it's hard to find other guys that want to wrestle still at this point of the year, obviously. As far as training goes, Oregon was pretty strict through the COVID restrictions. We got to lift a lot of weights and run a lot. Looked more like a cross country or a track team there for September through December. And then we finally got to where we were able to do a little bit more. In February, we started being able to test and be around our facility more and then got to make a pretty consistent push where we're testing, weekly now. And obviously one more test tomorrow. I'm gonna knock on some wood real quick, make sure everything's good with that. And then we get to wrap up the year, which I wasn't sure we were going to do. Maybe Joe and I had agreed. We're hoping to get to Friday before we are convinced that the tournament's actually happening. So.
Now, Joe, down there in Oklahoma, you've got a lot more junior college teams within a drivable distance, for example. Into Kansas, where junior college wrestling has exploded. New announcement down the line that another school in Oklahoma has started wrestling. Carl Albert State is starting a junior college wrestling program, and they're going to start a women's program a year later. But what was scheduling and competition situations like for you down there in Oklahoma?
I think ours is very similar to Coach Rhoden up there at Clackamas. We had all these plans and all these thoughts, and everything got moved. The good thing about the NJCAA is they made that decision early for us, and they said, okay, we're going to move your season. And we were actually the first season to move in the junior college environment. Then they moved everybody else, basketball, football, and everything else, which no need to get into that. But long story short, so you kind of had an idea that what you could do and when you could start and what we were wanting to do. But once again, all you ended up doing was taking that and throwing that in the trash can because you didn't know. You talked about us and having the schools down here that are within a drivable distance, hour and 15 minutes, but then they're in their own conference. Jayhawk Conference has their own set of rules, their own set of protocol. Can you get into those duels? Could we not? We couldn't get into any of them except for one, as a matter of fact, up in the ocean. And the reason behind that is the Jayhawk Conference protocol stated that if you had more than 400 people in the same venue, then you'd have to automatically quarantine. So they didn't want to push that buck whenever they had 3 teams wrestling in one venue. at another team, and no telling what the numbers might get up to. So we didn't get invited to too many duels up there. So we just did our own thing. We had 2 opens. We went to a set of dual tournament up there in Barton. Got a little bit of competition in, but not nearly as much as we normally have. But we're definitely not feeling sorry for ourselves, because you look at Division Ones a couple weeks ago, and I don't know how many matches those guys got in. Top max there would be 20. So like I said, we did what we could. We trained as well as we could. We did the best we could. I think we approached it pretty as smart as we possibly could, and just to do what we could and get to where we're at. And hopefully we're ready to rock and roll. We'll find out.
Already got a question in the chat from small college savant Aaron the Sweezy out there, asking about the 1 semester this season. Do you like the 1 semester sport, or are you in favor of keeping 2 semesters and transitioning one? Like California, of course, we know their junior colleges are in the fall, opening up the competition in the fall. Or do you like starting after New Year's and maybe not going this far in to April, but maybe making it more of a 1 semester sport? I guess I'll start with Josh on that one.
Yeah, I don't hate the idea of 1 semester. I don't love the idea of 1 semester in the fall, similar to California. I get to see that firsthand, and I'm just not as much of a fan of it. I do like it for some of our kids that would be, a Division I type transfer, Division II type transfer, where you're going to see a long season anyways. I like them having the ability to see a similar schedule, a similar, number of matches and those types of things, to get them that exposure and to give them the opportunity to train in an atmosphere that would be similar to what they'll see down the road. Whereas, I think it's disadvantageous for some of those 1 semester, like California junior colleges, where a lot of those kids, they don't get the same length of season, number of matches, opportunity to be seen by top tier schools. And thus you see less of them probably get an opportunity, not because they're not able to or not good enough. They certainly have good enough athletes. It's just, I think, a matter of exposure, to be honest with you. So I think I'm kind of on the side of I'd like the 2 semester, in our case 2-term sport.
Coach Renfro, being an athletic director, you've probably got a lot more to balance on your plate than just a wrestling schedule and eligibility.
Oh, back to your question, do I like the 2 semester situation? I definitely have to echo Josh there. There's some pros and cons to it. Wrestlers, and I'm one of them, obviously, wrestlers are so against change and so against breaking out of the normal that I don't even think I entertain the idea of a 2nd semester sport or a 1 semester sport, because this is what I've always known. You start in the fall time, you finish in the springtime. But now that we actually were forced into that situation, there's some definite benefits to it. I don't know if it was just our team or if it's just the young men that we have on it. We had 65% of our team with over a 3.0 this semester, the first semester. I think a lot of those topics that came up with first-time freshmen, first-time college generation student, things like that it is a little overwhelming for them. And that's what we deal with a lot, especially at the junior college level, go figure. So there was some benefits to it as far as the education side, the academics, and especially for us. And one of the things for us is, like I said, we had a lot of kids that were able to focus a little bit more on their grades and weren't worried about cutting weight. I know we don't cut weight anymore, but regardless, it's going to be losing some weight. And, at the same time, they didn't have to do that. We just trained this first semester. Some of them got a little bit heavier than I wanted them to, but obviously that wasn't one of the things that was on our agenda. We just got to work out a little bit. We had our restrictions, of course, too, plenty of restrictions. But at the same time, we got to focus on the academic side. It definitely paid off for us. And I know that's something that John Smith has been talking about for years and years about, this and that. Obviously, being a wiser person to the sport than I am, with a few more years under his belt, he probably seen that even more. As opposed to me, I was, really reluctant to change there. But I would be able to go either way right now. At the beginning, like I said, I was like, no way, this way. It's always been this way. We're going to have it. But no, it doesn't have to be that way. So I think we can compromise a little bit in the future and figure something out if they'll allow us. Now, the only problem you're going to be faced with will the NCAA. So wrestling evolves and is adapted into each other. We wrestle more NAIA, us particularly. We wrestle more NAIA, Division II and Division I schools than we do other junior colleges throughout the year. probably even more Division I schools actually. So if the NCAAs cannot change and adapt, then I think it would go against the grain for junior college to be able to do that. Once again, who are we going to compete against? And then we're going to be stuck in the same situation that we were this year with you pushing your season into a different time. And who do you compete against? Who do you? There's nobody out there. So it would have to be an overall overhaul with everybody to do that and work in that direction. If we were gonna, I'd be for either way. I'd vote for it, just to see how it really work out for everybody. If we would actually go into a situation where pushed everybody into the second semester there. Once again, like I said, I don't think it would phase me nearly as bad after this year than beforehand. So
I'd echo what Joe said too on the academic piece, JB. I think, it's a good question from Sways in the sense that what did it look like? And as you evaluate it, gosh, we did do better academically than we've done that first term, because there's a lot more time to focus on it. You weren't scrambling around, like Joe saying, traveling and trying to do other things and thinking about weight and whatnot. There are a lot of first generation college kids. So, that's definitely got to be a consideration more than just who do we wrestle. But Joe's right there too. I think if it's not a complete overhaul, it's definitely a disadvantage when you're on an island, like some junior colleges end up being in their, training situations and who you compete against and that kind of thing. So good question.
And talking about the academic part of it, because, there is a stigma. We've talked, Josh, you've been on the show a couple times talking about this. The stigma about junior college wrestling is they're all academic risks. They went junior college because they couldn't get it done in the classroom in high school. And that is not the case. There are situations like that, clearly. But Frank Beasley's example, he went to Lincoln when it was still a 2-year school because it was financially viable and it was a really good academic school, which saved him how much money at the end of his student loans when he went to a Division I school to wrestle. So there are those, and there are the kids that, okay, they bounce back. They may not have been ready for big time, a 40,000 student type of institution. They need to get it down. So again, there's that academics that's, if the ones that are there for, it seems like, okay, you don't have to make weight during exam time. It seems to be a benefit. I mean, even just pushing the season, not necessarily into a full semester, but okay, a lot of semesters are done that first week of December. So it's not like you're waiting till January 1. You can start second week of December, depending on whatever the, Division II has got some blackout periods and such around the holidays. But it seems to me like the academic portion of it, which is where, your job's to get them the 2-year degree to get them onto the 4-year school. So it seems like that definitely is a benefit so far that both of you guys have pointed out.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. I totally and completely agree with you. There's no question that school is costing more and more. I mean, I went to a Division III school for my master's. I don't know, it was like $40,000 for a master program or something. I mean, if there's a way that you could cut off something on the front end of it, I think going to, as much as I hate to say it, Joe's school or Clackamas or wherever you should decide, it's going to save you money no matter what. If you're listening to this right now and you're thinking, considering junior college, you should definitely consider it. There are programs out there that are just as good as anybody else that you're going to find in a number of different divisions. And it's going to save you and your family a lot of money. And there's no reason not to do it, in my opinion. Just be selective on where you decide you want to be, whether it's beautiful Oregon or I'm just playing now. I said Miami one time. I told Joe this story the other day. I said Miami in Kansas City when I picked up my cars to go down there. And the gal says, it's a long drive to Miami. I said, well, it's only 2 hours, I think, is what I was told. She goes, oh, you mean Miami? Oh, it's not Miami, honey. Like I'm an idiot, evidently. So I got to make sure and point out. I got that. I got my lesson there.
I will say that there is one thing that Josh's place has over yours, Joe, is being a seafood guy from the East Coast, I don't eat seafood really west of Richmond, Virginia, and they've got that crab thing out there, the fundraiser. So I'm not going to eat crabs in the middle of Oklahoma. Sorry, just not going to happen. Oregon, yeah. Back home in Virginia, yeah. But I know in Oklahoma, I'm going to probably get better barbecue. That's for sure.
Definitely get better everything here in Oklahoma. It's not compromise. We don't compromise. It's better everything. Maybe we don't sell it Miami, but we sell it.
Yeah, you do.
What's funny is we set this up and they said, yeah, well, you want us both on? Yeah, well, we're friends except for not this week. So obviously the week leading into it. And the reason that is relevant here, we'll get back to the structure of the junior college and the NJCAA.
Now say why it's relevant, because if Miami was on top, NEO was on top, it would be relevant. And now we're not on top, so it's not relevant. Go ahead. Finish it.
Okay, so since 2011, the last 10 NJCAA championships, the gentlemen you see on your screen right now or listening to on the podcast here on Short Time have won 8 of the 10 titles. Now, Joe started his coaching career, won first titles in this decade at Labette. One of my kids from my old hometown actually wrestled there. Joey Massey wrestled for you at Labette. Little Picosin plug in there. Then moving on to NEO, which reinstated the program. Win a title year 1 with a lot of guys that came with you from Labette. Josh, you won a title in 2011. This your 15th year at the helm there. It's been Clackamas, it's been NEO, it's been Iowa Central, the only school. And, of course, can't forget, give Pat Whitcomb his due with the year he tied you guys in 2013, Joe. It's been a very concentrated set of schools that have won this thing. But the team races has always been crazy. I remember, I think I was at the Pac-12s one year looking at my phone, and it was coming down to heavyweight. I mean, it was a winner-take-all type of thing. The action, the drama, the team races at this level they're fun, and you guys have both been on the winning and losing end of that. And by losing, I mean second place, which for a lot of teams is great, but when you're used to winning. So first with Joe, I want to touch this with you. I mean, coaching a championship team at Labette and then starting from scratch with some guys you knew. What was that process like? It coming to a school that previously had wrestling, and then hey, we're right out of the chute, we're winning a national title.
Yeah, a lot of people would think it'd be overwhelming. It certainly wasn't overwhelming. We knew what we were doing. We had a system down. Our coaching staff knew what was going to take place and how we were going to get to where we needed to get to. I think it was more educating the community on where we were at and what we were wanting. They dropped wrestling here 20 years before that, and they dropped wrestling because we were quite possibly not doing the things that we needed to do as far as institution or our wrestling towards the institution, towards the community, to show that we're not just a bunch of knuckle dragging Neanderthals, which sometimes is a stereotype that you look at wrestlers. I mean, that was the first thing that we needed to establish within our community and within our institution, and say that these are good young men. I don't even want to go back to the last question though, but I'm thinking of right now, since you said that, we were talking about the academic side. I've had, I think, five valedictorians on my team over the last 8 years. And so we're not just a bunch of idiots that run around and try to rip each other's heads off, in a sense. And so, like I said, the most important thing that we had to do with starting the program was provide that security and that trust into what we were here for. And that's here to be a good student athlete, to be the best student athlete that you can possibly be. And we're not going to be running around and causing problems. Those things are going to happen, and you're going to have issues like that. But we want to make sure we set that precedent, and we did that first year. And back to the success side of it, I had a lot of people in the community that were asking, hey, how do you think you're going to do this year? Well, there's only been one thought on my mind every year that we go to the national tournament, is we're going to win it. It's the same thought on my mind this year. I know that Clackamas is very good, and there's other schools out there that are very competitive as well, but our team thinks we're going to be national champions. And when we get there from start to finish, that's our thought process. Now, at the end of the day, or at the end of the second day there, that might change because we did or we didn't. But long story short, that's what we're looking for. So that was our thought process from day one. We come in and we talk to the community. Some of the people in the community are like, how do you think you're going to do? Well, we're going to win a national championship. And they kind of get that chuckle, really, how do you think you're going to do? And I'm like, we're going to win a national championship. I don't think you understand me. And I don't think you're in our practices, and I don't think you understand what we're doing to lead our team in that right direction. And they didn't. But it is hard to understand. And so, like I said, I had a little help. I mean, I had some help from Labette. I mean, the guy before me comes in and tells everybody, he says, hey, we're going to do things different. And the guys that were there say, well, you different. We just won a national championship. What do you want to do different, coach? So automatically they said, we're going to do things different. Can I transfer? And of course, I can't talk to them, and they're transferring right away. So thank you very much in that aspect of letting those guys do what they wanted to do and win the national championship. Once again, Labette is my alma mater. I love Labette. I got to do a Cardinal for that thing. But thank you for allowing them the opportunity to transfer down to our place and let us win another national championship. But that's what we were going to do from day one. Whether we had those kids or not, we were going to win a national championship. And now that's what we're doing today, is we're going to win a national championship. And I'm sure Coach Rhoden up there at Clackamas has a lot more to intervene with them, because they're thinking the same things too. And we could go on to the other. I'm sure we'll have time to get into some of the other teams. Pratt's tough as heck this year too. There's a lot of teams out there that are fighting for the same thing, and they're going at it for the same reasons. And back to your point of starting up the program there, It's just from day one doing the same stuff that we've been doing. We got the right strategies, we got the right philosophies in mind, and we just got to keep pushing forward there.
And Josh, as far as it goes with you, I mean, Clackamas has got that tradition. You've won 3 titles as coach, multiple national duels titles as well. You've got some pretty notable alumni, and you seem to have a bit more of a national scope in terms of where kids are coming from. They're coming from the East Coast. They're coming from the West Coast. They're coming from who knows where, different countries in some cases, not just Canada, which is not that far away. But when we look at the dynamic of the goals, like Joe talks about, year one winning a national title, you guys expect to win a national title every year. When you go into battle against the Northwest Wyomings, the Western Wyomings, the Iowa Centrals, the Iowa Westerns, the Pratts, the NEOs, the Neoshos, the programs that are like they've been around, but they've also got a level of success. What's the goal each year? And when you have a 2-year turnover of these athletes, unlike trying to build a program with athletes for 4 and 5 years?
Well, I think, for us, it's trying to get some trust and some faith built in to the relationship with the athletes. Like you said, at 2 years, sometimes 1 year and done, because they're already an NCAA qualifier and they do well for you, they get the opportunity to move up and move on, which we totally are, we try to foster that for these guys. That's our job. It's a revolving door, though. It continues to be a revolving door in recruiting. And in that respect, I think one of the foundational things that we try to do here is to build a relationship with the athletes and the coaching staff. Because I think, if they'll wrestle hard for something that's bigger than themselves, then, I think there's a level of success that comes that's different than just me going out there. Yes, wrestling is an individual sport. We all agree to that. There's a little bit of a duality there, though, where it's, team oriented, like Joe had talked to. And he's proven over time that he certainly has the recipe for success and has carried that over in 2 different institutions. I mean, early on, that was, the goal when I watched him. And I remember thinking about this interview earlier, watched him my first year as a head coach. I think he was, Timmy Prescott was wrestling the national finals. And I just loved the fire that Coach Renfro and the passion that he coached with. And it definitely inspired me and encouraged me, as did, a couple other things. There's a couple people I definitely never want to lose to at this division. If I'm going to lose to somebody, a guy like Joe Renfro is a pretty decent person to lose to, in my opinion, even though I prefer not to do that. Going back to your point earlier, is there some good team races? 2017, we did not win the national title, but it was one of the most exciting events I've ever been a part of. We only qualified 9 kids. 5 of them made the finals, and we ended up second with 147 points. Joe had 9 All-Americans, and the 3 of us, the 3 teams, moved over each other, jumped each other a couple of different times, throughout that finals. And it was quite an exciting event to be a part of. I see Sway's corrected me. Timmy Prescott was at Neosho. Joe, you had a 25-pounder in 2006-07 that was kind of a stud. Who was the kid? Did he wrestle Tim? Who was it?
You're not talking about Tim Elliott, are you?
Tim Elliott. That's it. It was Tim. I knew Tim was right. I think I saw Tim Prescott. Yeah, that kid. I'm sure there was some passion and some fire in that match. It was exciting for me. I'm like, dude, and I'm only 26 at the time. I'm watching. I'm like, man, I like that.
Punched me after he won. He punched me. That was something we talked about all year long. Of course, he's sitting there. He's saying, Coach, if I win it, I'll get to punch you, right? I was like, Timmy, you just win it. We'll worry about it later. Hey, Coach, if I win it, I get to punch you, right? Oh, you just win it. We'll worry about that later. And he went true to that. He won it.
It was awesome.
He gave me. It was 3 in a row. And I was like, that's it, sport. We're done. You're going down, sucker.
Yeah, man.
I told him, I was like, that's it. I told you one free one.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. And like Josh was saying there, that's what it is in our sport. I think we're getting into maybe the next part of those questions of why you stay coaching junior college. Man, these kids are just like I was. Josh was the same way. We're just a little rebellious and a little rambunctious and just gnarly little dudes that hook it up and scrap. And at the end of the day, that passion with each other is the same thing. I know Coach Rhoden's doing it out there at Clackamas, and he loves it. He loves those guys. And every day I step in this room, and especially here lately, I'm finding out that I love wrestling even more than what I thought I did, because you come from the AD side of it and you go right into practice. Well, every day at 2:30 at practice time, man, I get a smile on my face because I don't have to do everything else and I can focus on wrestling. I'm like, thank goodness, this is what I wanted. So it was probably more of a rebirth for me than anything of realizing the passion that you do have for, and it's not the wrestling, I don't think. It is some of that, but that does hurt. And the older you get, it hurts even more. But the more the love for the guys and seeing them develop and seeing them work together and seeing them bond and camaraderie that they commit to each other, it's just awesome. It's a great situation, a great scenario. But I didn't mean to change subject on you.
No, but it's a good segue into, you guys have won national championships as coaches, and, every year coaching jobs open up around the country at various levels. What keeps you at Clackamas, Josh? What keeps you there instead of looking and say, okay, there's a pretty good Division II, Division III opening there that's got some tradition. Why do you like coaching at the junior college level?
I think I relate to these guys, like Coach said, I was a junior college guy myself, not necessarily because of academics, but I was a little squirrely and probably needed some more guidance and just direction, I think. And for my wife and I, honestly, and our kids, my kids, they go to every national championship. They've never missed one. It's part of our family, to be perfectly honest. It's not smoke and mirrors. It's not corny. Like a lot of these kids that we see, and Coach Renfro mentioned it earlier, we see a lot of first generation college students. We see kids from, mixed families and different backgrounds and different socioeconomic statuses and different lifestyles, entirely. Like you said, we get kids from all over the United States. And, some of them just need more direction, man, than others. And that's simple to provide, in my opinion, at least as you get older and a little bit wiser, maybe, I think, more so than when I was a young coach. It becomes more relational and more about how I can help further these guys as young men. And the sport of wrestling, you guys, I'm not to tell you, I'm not selling you or anybody probably that's listening, that it's one of the best tools we have at our disposal to help these guys become better young men, better husbands and fathers down the road, and better community members once they get through it. And, I think that's definitely what keeps me here. I have a great administration. My athletic director is an awesome man. Him and his wife are intimately involved in the community here at Clackamas. Our president, Mr. Cook, is a fantastic president and super supportive. And our dean, actually, Tara Spray, was at the national championships in 2019 and fell in love with wrestling as a result of being around our guys and being around the sport and the event there. And I just think we're super blessed. And I think, Coach also alluded to this a little bit earlier. I think this year more than ever, I've been more grateful to be able to participate in wrestling because for a while there, we had it taken away from us, to be perfectly honest. We weren't able to, get into the room, or any room for that matter, because if we did, there was, a chance that we were putting ourselves in jeopardy of not getting to go at all because we weren't following the rules that the institution had set out. And so, I think for our guys and for the staff, it's there's a lot of grateful men that are going to be competing next week just to be in the event and with a smile on our face, having fun. So, I know it's a long answer, but I'm perfectly happy here. And we've had lots of opportunities to talk to different places. And been blessed with some great opportunities to possibly move on. But I think for my family and for these guys, it's just kind of the right fit right now.
Yeah, Joe, in your situation, you went NJCAA to NJCAA, and now you're the AD. So I guess a little bit tougher to leave that because, Josh thanks his administration there. You are the athletic administration, among other things. I understand you're dealing with some FFA type stuff too there at any of some non-athletics activities on your watch as well. But what keeps you in this level?
Like Coach Rhoden was saying, that's what it is it's the same type of person that I was. I don't know if it was lack of exposure or lack of talent or what. I wrestled junior college, and then I went on to a pretty decent Division II program, University of Nebraska at Kearney, where they're much better now than they were when I was there. Go figure. A great place, and I had some good experiences. And once again, the people that I wrestled in junior college, I still hang out with those cats, man. We're still calling each other up. If I call, Daryl Bradley, he's only an hour and a half down the road, but he'll be here in an hour and a half. I call him. I got a couple twins down in Tonka, Oklahoma that we hang out with, that we call every once in a while, and we still fish and we still hunt. Brandon Terry up there at Augusta, he's a high school coach there. I call him. It's 2 hours away. We still stay in contact with some of these guys, man. They're great people. They're anytime I want to go down the river and go fishing, and these other guys, if I want to go out hunting with Brandon Terry, I give him a call. We go pheasant hunting still. Haven't done it for a little while, and he's still actually makes fun of me now that he thinks I don't hunt anymore. And he knows that's the worst thing to tell me because I want to hunt so bad. I just sometimes don't have the time to do it. But that's his biggest, how he puts me down. He degrades me. He says, "Oh, you're not a hunter anymore. You retired your shotgun." But long story short, those are the people that you meet. Those are the people that you hang out with. And that's what they are here at the junior college level. And that's what you're going to see is you're not going to, we probably won't ever get a Jordan Burroughs type talent kid unless something happens along the way that we need to. But man, you can get some guys that are pretty dang good. I mean, Jacoby Smith had a lot of talent. A lot of talent. And we can name a lot of them that are right up there. But long story short, it's just the same type of mentality, the same type of kids that I get here at Northeastern Oklahoma. We do get some guys from around the country, but we do recruit a lot of young men from Northeastern Oklahoma, the state of Oklahoma, Southwest Missouri, Southeast Kansas, and the state of Kansas. I mean, we don't venture out too far because of the dynamics that they bring with the personalities and stuff. And that's one of the things that they're doing. I know some of our guys, I'm yelling at my guys are heavyweight. You be out fishing till midnight. I'm like, damn, get home, get some sleep. Like, Coach, I don't have class early in the morning, so I'll be out fishing. Those are the type of people that we hang out with, and that's what we do. And so to be around people like that, it would be very hard for me to leave that type of environment. And I don't know if I could coach somebody like that. Like I said, like a Jordan Burroughs. I mean, I just don't. Zane Rutherford. I don't know. I don't know if I could coach those guys. Dayton Fix. I mean, they're great people too, but I don't know what I would add to their overall situation that would make them even better. So I do get young men in that had the same issues that I had with the little ADHD, which is 99 out of 100 wrestlers do. I get some guys in that maybe don't have really financially full portfolio, so to speak, so it's just the same type of people that I'm coaching as the same type of person that I was. Once again, a little rebellious, a little rambunctious, maybe, very courteous, very respectful. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yes, sir. No, sir. Open doors for people, not because you have to, but because that's what you do and that's what you were taught. Because if you didn't do that, Mom or Dad would put a pot knot on your head, and by God, that's what you're going to do. So that's the type of guys that we run with here, and I fit in really well with them. And sometimes I even think I am 18, 19 years old again. Knowing every time, especially looking at this webcam and seeing how bald I'm getting, how many wrinkles I got on my forehead, I realize that I'm not, but I feel like I'm their age. And we get to joking around and talking about things, and they're just good kids, man. And then I know they're not kids. They're great young men, and I'm very proud to be a part of hopefully helping them better themselves and later on in life. And, if I'm a small part of that and it's something that helps the world out in some sort of fashion, then I've done my job, and I'm proud and happy to be a part of it.
Joe brought up a good point, and one of the bigger names to come out of Clackamas in recent years was a very big name, Tyrell Fortune, a guy that had won a Division II title at Grand Canyon, was very accomplished on the age group levels, won a number of Fargo titles. So, Josh, to that point, when you got a talent like that, I mean, what do you do as a coach? It's like, I can't show you anything you don't already know, probably better than me. So what's that situation like when you get that special talent that does show up in your program for one reason or another?
I'll start with the joke answer. You hold his iPad and watch is what you do.
He's like, there you
go.
You
watch. That's what you do. You watch. No, to be honest with you, the first year was trying to get to know Tyrell and what would benefit him the most. He was a stud already. I mean, he really was. I think the thing that benefited him the most was when we got him onto the junior world team. We helped, we had our club helped him get out and get to the, I think it was Field of Juniors at the time. And he went back there and he was fifth. And to him, fifth was, same as losing almost and not winning any matches. And he came back and was like, I got to hand fight better. I have to. And so for the next year and a half, we spent time hand fighting and trying to help him improve there. Bottom was always a place that he was a little bit deficient, probably because he wasn't ever on bottom very much. But once we got to, the Reno Tournament of Champions and some of the bigger events that we got the chance to wrestle in, we found out that was definitely a need. And so, I think with most guys, you try really hard to build a good rapport because you don't want to start out with, hey man, you stink on bottom. to a kid who's really, really exceptional, because, sometimes, ego is a problem. In Tyrell's case, that wasn't the case. He was the most humble, decent, nice young man you ever wanted to come across. He just happened to be an NFL athlete. I mean, he really did. And so we just found areas that we could help him improve. We built some good trust and a great relationship that we still have to this day with him, and tried to help where we could, man, to be honest with you. We're blessed that we have had some very talented young men, as has Coach Renfro, in the program. And I think it's just part of it. I do jokingly say, I said iPod. That's because that's back when Tyrell was there. It wasn't necessarily phone. It was iPod. But now it's hold the phone and watch, right? Like, just go out, tell them to wrestle free and have fun, and see if we can come up with some W's.
Usually it's also duck and cover if you're anywhere near the edge of the mat, because he will lat drop. He would have lat dropped you from anywhere. I think the only time I've been to the Junior College National Championships was it was down in Rochester. I was still living here in Minnesota the first time. And I can't remember, one of his lat drops was like his toes were in the circle, but the entire heavyweight's body was in Iowa. So, I mean, it was one of those like crazy ones. Of course, there's Aaron Swayze right there.
I love it.
Yeah, boom, there it is.
He
throws it up right there.
One of my favorite stories with Coach Renfro is we're coaching against his Levette kid, big old, and this is Renfro's word, big old corn-fed kid, that we're wrestling. And Tyrell body locks him, and the kid's probably that much taller, a head taller, and he throws him, and the kid hits face first, and it knocks him out cold, and Tyrell pins him. And he comes over, and Renfro walks right past this guy that's laying there, slaps Tyrell on the butt, says, "You big freaking stud." I mean, what else are you going to say? I mean, I've been on the other side of that plenty of times, with other athletes that we just don't have and can't compete with. It was just like, that to me was like, oh my gosh, dude, yeah, it's that's all you can really do, I guess. I don't know what else to say.
It is what it is. You got to admit it when it's there. There ain't nothing you can do. But I think Josh left out there that even with someone like Tyrell is that you fill the void. And I think that's what we do as coaches. And I know that's what Coach Rhoden did. But there's something that everybody is missing. And to be a junior college coach, you got to figure figure that out, what it is, and then you got to make sure that you're there to do that. He said he spent a year, trying to figure out what he needed and what was involved. And we do the same stuff with our guys. I mean, no matter who good they are, no matter how smart they are, no matter how talented they are, no matter how academically inclined they are, or whatever the case is, you find a void and you fill that void for them. And in Fortune's case, I'm sure that might have been maybe to keeping him geared down the right academic path. Oops, man, they are out of this world. The amount of guys that we got out here that can do backflips, it just amazes the heck out of them. Just stand there and jump straight up and do a backflip. That's a little bit of athleticism, but they've got something missing in their life, and that's your job as a coach, is to figure that what that is and fill it for them and take care of them.
When we're talking about, Joe, you talked about the scheduling and such, and when you guys cross paths, and then you mentioned somebody like Jacoby Smith or DeWaylen Barnes who comes into your program, and then they go to an open tournament, and then they beat a guy that wears orange or beat a guy that wears crimson. And all of a sudden, how quickly does your phone blow up when somebody knocks off? But let's just bring up DeWaylen Barnes. He beat Chance Marsteller at 157 when Chance was still at Oklahoma State. I mean, how quickly does your phone ring from Division I coaches around the country going, we need to know more about that guy?
With us, I got a pretty good, I got Coach Roselli's number and Coach Smith. And Coach Smith, both of those guys are very, very helpful to us down there. And, like I said, they're good people and they're good coaches down there. We talk quite frequently. It's not like we're on the phone every day, but if they do have somebody who's a non-qualifier, they'll give us a shout. But you got to prove that. You got to give them a good product. And I think we gave them a couple good products, not because of us and what we did. It's just the young men that we gave them. I mean, Jacoby Smith going down there to OSU and being successful for Coach Smith. DeWaylen going and wrestling for Coach Roselli and being successful there. They prove themselves and they make us look good, or make me look good anyways. But that's what you have to do, and you have to have that common courtesy of helping each other out. And, how fast does your phone blow up off the hook? Sometimes pretty fast, but they know during the season that I'm not focusing on getting their team better. I'm focused on getting our team better. And that's my number one concern. You had your opportunity to recruit this young man, and then all of a sudden he wasn't good enough to go there. Now all of a sudden he is. And it's not because of things that we're doing, it's the things that we're doing together. So they're great guys down there, great Division I coaches everywhere out there. I think both of those guys at OU and OSU. You got Branch out there, gets a lot of or some junior college transfers too. Wyoming, and there's a lot of people that are supportive of the right type of junior college person to be in their program. And so, yeah, we're always entertaining any kind of phone calls. And once again, Dwaylen just graduated with his engineering degree. So it's not like he was he had academic issues. He didn't have any academic issues. I remember telling him when we're at the Lindenwood Open one year, he's got his physics book open and he's getting ready to wrestle. And he's on the open side. And I'm like, hey, dude, you're getting ready to come up there in a minute. He's like, yeah, but I really got to study for this test. I'm like, yeah, but knock it off. Get your ass ready to go. We're getting ready to wrestle. I think it was a West Virginia kid. Maybe it was even an Iowa kid. I'm like, you're driving me nuts. Can't we just study more? But no, that's what he had to do to be successful. And that's what he was on the academic side. And so long story short, you just got to place kids where they're going to be successful, which they will be successful at other places. And you got to make sure that you allow them to know what to expect whenever they go somewhere, and make sure that they're put in the right place.
Yeah, Coach Jenkins up at Muskegon definitely liked your impression there of Renfro there, Josh. So
I had to go PG on him though, because it wasn't.
Yeah, well, it's this is a family show. I think
that's why I think my sons want listening, so I can't go full Coach Renfro on it.
Yeah, because it live. I mean, we can edit if it wasn't. Anyway. So another thing that we've discussed, Josh, on previous episodes, and I want to get Coach Renfro's position on this because he's been at a couple different places. You both have had wrestlers go to the Division I route, but since the implementation of the APR at the Division I level, you're not getting the kids that would go out and just wreck shop. I mean, your Lesners aren't really showing up as much anymore. Granted, that guy developed really well at Bismarck State, but you're not getting your top 5 prospect is not going to go the junior college route typically these days. They're going to sit a year out. They're going to do a gray shirt year. They're going to do something. Whereas then your kids that are coming from the junior college ranks, they're more hitting the Division II and the NAIA schools more so now because do you feel some of that APR, they still view the NJCAA kids as a risk? Coach, I'll start with you. Renfro.
I definitely think that coaches are thinking it's a risk, and I definitely have to vouch for them on that. Once again, they no offense, and I'm talking about our school, and I think it is the right school. I'm obviously a little biased, but you definitely have to get the right kid from the right school who has that background, that foundation of what the expectations are on the academic side. And we force that from day one with them, telling them what we want them to do, where they want them at. Yes, can you miss one class and still make an A in here? Yeah, but I don't want you to miss one class and still make an A in there. I want you to make every class and make an A in there. And those expectations have to be very transparent with them whenever they step on campus. As a matter of fact, our recruiting talks with the young men sometimes take into the 2 and 3 hour mark because I'm telling them not what they want to hear, but what our expectations are here. And then I know some recruits got to leave our office saying, I don't know, coach wants me. He tells me that if I'm not this type of person, it ain't going to work out. Well, that's true. If you're not a hard worker, if you're not willing to adapt and change and make yourself the best student athlete that you can possibly be, then you're in the wrong place and go somewhere else and waste somebody else's time because we're not in the business for that. We're in the business of make you better, and you will be a better student athlete by the time you leave our campus. I can guarantee you that. But at the same time, if you're not willing to put forth your effort on the other side, we don't want you. It's pure and simple. So I think getting somebody from a school like Clackamas or a school like NEO, and you can name a lot of them. It's not just our places. But I think getting somebody from an institution like that, I think there's a little bit less risk. But once again, I think it's got to be a scary situation for some Division I coaches. It's the stereotype that everybody has. Hey, he's a junior college kid. He's academically not, he's not academically sound. I just told you, we've had plenty of academic All-Americans. We've had plenty of valedictorians on the team. We've had plenty of guys that are going and getting their engineering degree down at either OU or wherever they go to. So it's not as risky as people might think, but it's risky for anybody. You never know what's going to happen 2 days from now. I mean, I forgot where I left my car keys at 20 minutes ago in the last meeting that I was in. And sometimes our guys are the same way. So you definitely have to make sure that you're getting the right person, and it has to come from an institution that's pushing the right things towards him. I mean, it's wrestling, and wrestling coaches are going to be influencing the right stuff with him. But, once again, it goes to another level of what you want and what your expectations are for who you're wrestling for.
Josh, anything to add there? Because that's
No,
pretty perfect to me.
He killed it. We do something similar. I think the APR thing is a real thing. That's why you don't see as many elite kids, if you want to call them that, top 5 kids that get to come this route, because they do have options of taking that year in residence or that gray shirt year to get their academics squared away and have an opportunity to be on a roster. I think I don't want to speak for Joe, but I know they do something similar. Part of my thing here was from the very outset, if we want to be different, it's not just win. Anybody can win. Can you win? And we have about an 80% graduation or transfer rate, with the credits you need to go to the school you want to go to and be able to move on with scholarship. And I think, I know Coach Renfro does that everywhere too, because I see a bunch of his guys still wrestling and earning degrees similar to ours. So, I think we certainly are trying to change that. And I think it's honestly our job personally to put that little taboo to rest, if you will. Personally, I hate hearing it's just junior college. It's like, okay, yeah, come on in and work out with us and see if it's just junior college. 1, and then 2, we have plenty of kids, just like Coach Renfro does, who, a team GPA of 32 guys this year is a 3.2. So I don't think it takes a lot of really intelligent young men to get to a 3.2 at any school. So. I definitely want to combat both of those things. So
I didn't graduate with that. I'll just leave it there because granted, mine was the issue with, like Joe points out, going to class. I learned that year 4. I kind of figured that part out. Now, as we talk about the coaches situation, I've met a number of colorful characters and just and overall good people. And actually, to the toughness, real quick, you mentioned Tim Prescott did better at Division II than he did at the junior college ranks. So there's the toughness factor there. But there's guys I got to know over the year. Of course, Moffitt's a character. Jim Ziegler's a character. I met Coach Jenkins in Des Moines one year. So and getting to see your colleagues out there. What are some things that people who may not pay attention to this division very much should know about the coaching fraternity in the NJCAA? Josh, I'll start with you.
I think more than anything, it's a bunch of guys who genuinely care about the sport of wrestling and trying to further it. They all have a similar outset, I think, as you're hearing from Joe and I, in that they want what's best for the young men in their programs. And I think everybody goes about it a little bit differently. And not everybody's philosophy may be the same. But I think if you get a chance to sit down with an Art Castillo or a Jimmy Ziegler, Paul Schmidt from Nassau back in the day before he retired. There's a lot of quality men who do the job. One of the harder jobs, I think, in college athletics, which is being a junior college coach at any sport. Here's the thing. Here's the hats that you get to wear: dad, counselor, friend, coach, trainer, fitness instructor, dietitian. List goes on and on. So I think that it's definitely an undervalued position, but there's a lot of guys who do an excellent job. Obviously, you mentioned Moffitt. Cole Spree is another one that does a good job, in my opinion. Josh Watts. I don't want to miss names. There's a lot of really, really good guys who I consider, to be great colleagues and friends. So, I think with that, it's more about approach and where they're at and those types of things as to why you would make a decision. But a lot of great guys doing this job.
Yeah, Coach Renfro, how many opponents, athletes have you slapped on the butt besides Rhoden's?
Quite a few probably. I don't know. I get caught up in the moment too. You're watching somebody wrestle good and you get excited because, man, sometimes you forget they're beating the tar out of your kid. Like, whoa, this guy's got to have some, you got to tell him something. But long story short, the thing that Josh says is you definitely wear multiple hats. One of them is being even an academic advisor. I don't know a thing about. I haven't taken college algebra since my sophomore year in high school. Not because I was that smart, because I had someone that helped me through college algebra when I was a sophomore in high school.
Nice humble brag, Coach. Nice humble brag.
But I got guys asking me, "Hey, Coach, can you figure this problem out?" No, I can't figure that problem out. But let's sit down and let's try. Maybe I'll call somebody. I got good resources out there. We'll figure it out one way or another. But you do wear a lot of different hats, and you do have to. Once again, I hate going in on a sour note, but a young man comes up and tells you his mother passed away from COVID. I don't know how to handle that, but he's got nobody else to talk with him through that. And so you've got to be a man of many trades of figuring out what you need to do and how you need to approach your guys and keep them in mind. And sometimes you don't always know the answer, but you try. And I think if your young man that's wrestling for you knows that it's genuine and you're doing the best that you can, that he'll buy in on your philosophy and he'll trust you and he'll agree with you. And it might not be right. He might figure out something else, but long story short, he'll take your word for it and knows that you're putting forth the effort to help him out the best that you know, which sometimes, man, it'd be 180 degrees different direction for some of the advice that I give sometimes. I'm not a relationship counselor. I'm married to one person I love. I mean, and I don't know if she loves me yet, but she's going to eventually, and we're going to have a great relationship. But, I what do I do when a guy comes up and says, Coach, and I love this girl, and she just, she's dumping me. I have no idea, buddy. You got me there. But you try to work through those things, and you try to give some compassion and some empathy towards them to where maybe you guys can both figure out the equation there and do what you need to do. And just be the best type of person that you can. And, be the best coach in the meantime.
As we look towards this coming week, the 21st, 22nd, we've talked about the dynamics of junior college. Of course, there's the scholarship, non-scholarship. One tournament, team scores are broken out. You mentioned Paul Schmidt, former coach at Nassau. They've won a couple of the non-scholarship portions of the tournament. Of course, Rochester right down the road from me. Randy Rager was there for a long time. Travis Rutt in the house there now. We look at the tournament. You qualify through districts normally. Now this year, what the heck? How do you get to the tournament? That's what I want to know, because the brackets won't be out until after this afternoon, this evening. So we can't look at brackets and go weight by weight. I just want to know from just as we glance over, you can go to, let's go to the website. Let's just make sure we know the NJCAA.org obviously is the main website. Let's do some checking. Yeah, go there. You can get the wrestling information. But 21st, 22nd, not sure what the fan situation is, but let's just talk about the brackets real quick. How do they happen? How are you preparing your guys for teams and wrestlers? You don't even know who's going to be there. I guess Josh, we'll start with you.
Yeah. Well, this year we decided, just based on COVID and the risk for infection at a conference tournament, that we were going to go with basically you and your administrator decide who gets to go. So that answers part of your question. And there were quite a few schools who opted out. I think Joe would have the number. He's the president of the Coaches Association, but it's like 20 or 24 schools that opted out. So we knew the brackets would be smaller now. You let more kids get an opportunity, which if we're about exposure and we're about helping kids move on, then that seems like a no-brainer to all of us when we made that call in our leadership group. And so there's, going to be, I think, 2 brackets with pigtails, and the rest are pretty full, and more full than I've seen in the 15 years that I've been doing it. And so, for that, how do you prepare? Man, it's awful hard now we got an off day and a travel day and then a couple of workouts before we get to go to war. And so more than anything, the hay's in the barn, man. I mean, really, it's going to go out and try and be the best version of ourselves, and wrestle the next guy in front of us. And I know it sounds really cliche, but how else are we going to do it? We can't really see and prepare. And, we don't have a week and a half like normally we would be able to see brackets and know at least something or placements to prepare for guys. So it's going to have to just be us going out and doing our job and taking the setbacks when they come and trying to stay as even as possible.
Yeah, and the calendar is open. So Coach Renfro, before we get to there, just let you know, you can watch this on Flow Wrestling. The brackets will be up on Flow Arena. So if you can't make it there's not a whole lot of wrestling on the calendar for you folks. Yeah. So this is a prime time to get yourself acquainted with these two gentlemen, and of course the rest of the coaches and athletes within the NJCAA. And Coach Renfro, I guess the same question there. Preparation, maybe from an administrator standpoint, what it was like maybe behind the scenes and coming to this conclusion. Say, hey, let's just pretty much have not necessarily an open, but kind of an open.
When you look back at when this decision was made, because we were talking about it throughout the year, we were very concerned about actually having the season and having a national tournament. Nobody knew, and there was a lot of uncertainty there, whether Division I was going to have it and anybody was going to have it. So throughout negotiations and talking, one of the things that really led me to the non-qualifier or not having a qualifier was you got West Coast schools that were, anytime that they leave the state, correct me if I'm wrong, Coach, anytime they leave the state, they have a 14-day quarantine. Well, how are you going to be able to go to a regional tournament and then come back in a 14-day quarantine and go to a national tournament? Now, I'm not saying we specifically, as a leadership group with the NWCA involved, we specifically made this decision, taking into consideration the West Coast schools. But a national tournament with the junior college level without Clackamas involved, to me, is not a national tournament. So that was kind of the whole sort of selflessness that our group had to come to terms with and say, we want to get these schools on the East Coast. At this time, once again, all New York schools are shutting down. Nobody's doing anything. Nobody's letting anybody do anything. And so, once again, as a wrestling community, as competitive as we are, and right now I'm staring at Josh Rhoden, and man, I want to wrestle him, and I want to break that half a finger he has. But at the same, he's a great guy.
Learn something new every day. Didn't know he was missing a digit.
I'm sure he didn't want me to point that out.
Hanging out with Haytag Pliav, are you?
The fastest 4.5 fingered half Nelson in America. Just if you're keeping track at home, it's that fast.
Well, there was also the line, remember when Coach Buxton at Blair lost his finger, comes back the next year, training camp is like, hey, what has 9 fingers and wins national championships? Jeff Buxton. So maybe you can borrow that one, Josh. Now
I'm going to steal that and Swayze's comment here. If you don't have the clack, your tournament is whack. That's the back of a T-shirt. I can see it.
Oh yeah. So let's see. Of course, Muskegon is there. They're infiltrating here. We got Coach Jenkins.
He's referring to Coach Renfro so generously, saying, "Yeah, they did actually help us get in the event." That's the truth. I mean, that was
yeah, Joe Dexter in here. More Muskegon love out here.
Any more dang help, for God's sakes. Give him some more help.
So I guess
as competitive we are, we came together as a group and decided what was best for our organization and for our group and what we needed to be to have the most competitive environment. Back to preparing for the tournament individually as a team, just like what Coach was saying again, is you got to do the best that you can, and you've got to be the best at what you do because you don't know what you're going to run into. I know there's people out there that, and Josh and I joke about this, and he'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Oh, they know how the bracket's going to fall. They know what's going to happen here. They know that this, whatever. Okay, prepare. How come you're not winning the national tournament? Because I don't have a clue how the bracket's going. And we've won a couple. And I know Josh is probably smarter than I am.
I'm not smart.
He's not the bracket scenario either. And he's won a couple too. And no offense against Luke Moffitt down there in Iowa Central, but I don't even know if he can spell Iowa. But for the love of God, he knows how to get the job done on the wrestling side.
That's on the back of a shirt too. Oh my goodness, fighting! I'm gonna get Troy Bennett is gonna text me any minute now because of that. Oh man! So
hopefully that is the relationship that we have.
There's the fighting words right there. Wednesday, Thursday, nobody's getting anything done. You're gonna watch this tournament and you're hoping to see Renfro slap heavyweights on the butt. They're gonna put Moffitt through a spelling test. And Swayze is going to pay everybody for T-shirts. So I think that's a great place to wrap up this fun discussion. Again, NJCAA.org. Click the wrestling link. Flow Wrestling is going to have the live stream and the brackets. Brackets will come out as we record this on Thursday, April 15th, this evening. Check the tweets and all that stuff. And Coach, where can they follow your respective programs? I'll give both you guys the last word to do the whole beautiful Oregon City, beautiful Miami line again.
Yeah. You don't have to be smart to say our name. There's no little, whatever you call those asterisk things above the A or I or whatever.
Umlauts. There's no umlauts, and there's no ampersands in your name either.
That's true. No, you're absolutely correct there. At CCC Wrestling on Twitter and at CCC Wrestling on Instagram, Clackamas Community College Wrestling on Facebook. You can follow along if you'd like to. If nothing else, make sure and check out the national tournament next week on Wednesday and Thursday because we need to do a better job as an organization. That's why Joe and I thought it'd be a great idea because NJCAA has got to pump this out. We've got a unique opportunity this year that we haven't had before. Usually we're butted up against the Big Tens, and there's nobody probably watching us over the Big Tens. And so it's going to be a free and easy weekend. If you love wrestling, make it happen.
Yeah. I was hoping I could have made it work, but that remains to be seen. Maybe in the future. Coach Renfro, you get the last word because of your seniority, and by my count, you have more titles right now. So
I'm working on that.
I didn't get that big, man. As if I couldn't tell I was older by the looks of my
Hey,
face.
I'm that. Why do you think I'm wearing a hat?
You
Okay.
guys are both wearing hats, and as soon as I saw that, I was like, goodness sakes, it got me again.
Yeah. Well, I'll just leave it there.
Like you said, it'll be a great situation. It'll be a great environment. It always is, and great people, great coaches, great wrestling. We'll see what happens. I am probably the most. Go ahead and put that up there, Sway, so everybody needs to know how to contact him. Thank you.
There you go.
Thank
Looking
you.
out,
Because he knew that I wouldn't know it. Because I don't have Twitter, I don't have Facebook, I don't have Instagram, I don't have any of that stuff.
Can you spell NEO, Coach? Come on, it's fair. It's a fair question.
I got a fishing pole and a shotgun.
Right? I was gonna say get the shotgun, and you forgot the flip phone. You got a flip phone too.
I would show it, but I feel bad if I see my flip phone. But we do have all that social media, and man, no, I don't know goat roping. Sways, you are pushing buttons.
Yeah, he's pressing enter in the comments on Facebook
but
Live.
I can't read, Sways. I can't read. But
trying to have a serious show here, Aaron. Come on, man.
It should be a great situation, and like Coach Rhoden was saying, we wish everybody the best of luck, and it's going to be a good competition. And normally we are hitting right there with the Big 12s. We're hitting with everything. So it'd be great to have our own opportunity. Come on out, check it out. There's not much wrestling going on across the country. There'll be some good wrestling. There'll be some good scraps. And there's going to be people getting smacked in the face, and some people with some hurt feelings. And there's going to be some people with a long road home. And hopefully it's not us. But we'll get to see what happens there. Jason, I truly appreciate your time and everything that you do for wrestling, especially what you do for junior college wrestling. You're a giant advocate for the sport. Couldn't have a better person in that position and doing what you do. And once again, I just want to say thank you for everything you do.
I appreciate it.
You're the best, JB. And honestly, I really wish we could have got you in the building to be on the mic. That was something that bugged me a lot. I think you should have been there. So,
well, it's maybe it's something to revisit in the future for sure. But this would have been the perfect chance. But we'll just end we'll just leave it where it is. I'm looking forward to watching the competition from my glorious speakeasy here. Even though the 6-hour drive, I wouldn't have minded it. But it should be a fun team race. Should be unpredictable, just like every year. So for Josh Rhoden and Joe Renfro, this is Jason Bryant. You've been listening to and watching the Short Time Wrestling Podcast.